Hello, I'm back. Anyway, for those of you that saw the introduction video, and for those of you that did not, this video is to get you familiar with all the bits and pieces of the Skycrane. This particular model is a Skycrane Junior shot taker, and as all my jibs when they're shipped come partially assembled. Now this model makes up two different jib lengths. It makes up a little short 5-footer, and when totally assembled it makes up a 10-foot overall jib length. But enough of that, let's get you familiar with the bits and pieces. The first section is the operator section, and you're going to see that it comes assembled with the drive lever already in place. Bearings are torqued, and you're going to see some incremental holes in the machine in this drive lever. More on that later. The next is the vector base, and you're going to see on the bottom of this it's countersunk, drilled and tapped for 3/8/16 stud. Now that's pretty much standard on most standard tripods, unless you have 75 or 100 millimeter bowl type. You can buy adapters from the manufacturer to accommodate a 3/8/16 stud. When you spin it, it mounts as simple as that. Next is the bearing port. Now this accommodates the bearings as well as the camera platform to make up the short 5-footer. Next is the camera section. When this is assembled, of course, this makes up the 10-footer. Also, the bearing port accommodates the bearings and the camera platform. Next is the aluminum billet mating block. And you'll find that there are numbers stamped in this, and they correspond with numbers stamped in the camera section as well as the operator section. And this just helps guide you in assembly. Next would be all the tools necessary to assemble a Skycrane. It comes with 3 of the correct size Allen wrenches. There are stainless steel fasteners in here to assemble the jib, as well as stainless fasteners to secure your camera to the camera platform. Now this is a 304 stainless steel camera platform. Doggone near indestructible. Comes with the carrier bolt, 2 precision covered bearings, and of course the cable sheath. Next is the drive cable. This is galvanized steel, vinyl coated, with an adjustable turnbuckle and a jam nut. So when you've tightened it to your specs, you tighten the jam nut, it won't back off. Next is an aluminum billet drive lever grip. It comes foam covered for a little more comfort for the operator, also with the correct fastener to mount it. Next is the weight bar. This is an aluminum billet, and when the weight bars are applied to this, this is the lock ring that holds them in place, and that's secured via Allen wrench. Next is the external trim weight. Now when you have the bulk of your weights in place on the back end of the jib, this will give you infinite trim. Whether you want it camera light, camera heavy, or perfectly balanced, this will guide you to that point. Last here on the table, these 3 items are optional pieces. This is an incremental trim plate for the camera. This would be an LCD monitor bracket. And last but not least is an aluminum billet internal trim bar. We'll show you more on these too when we go to assembly. And last but not least, let's cover the weights we need. There are 2 brands that I recommend. One is BFCO, and that stands for Bravo Foxtrot Charlie Ocean. Just helps you remember that. Now there are 2 reasons that I recommend this brand, and the other brand I didn't mention is BMI. And these can be found at most of your local sporting goods stores. They hold true to their value, their weight value, number 1. Number 2, and most important, is the inside dimension. This is 1 1/8. This weight bar is 1 1/16. So they make a perfect fit. Not a lot of slop when they're mounted to the weight bar. Oh, before I forget, you should take this with you when you go purchase your weights, just to make sure that they are going to fit properly. Now, let's discuss the amount of weight you're going to need, because it's going to sound like a lot, and it really is, but there's a reason for it. I recommend that you get 2 1/4 pounds, 2 2.5 pounders, 2 5s, and 2 10s. And the reason for that amount of weight is that you may have 1, 2, or 3 cameras. One camera may have interchangeable lenses. The other may have heavier batteries, wireless audio, extra wiring, etc., etc. So every pound that you put on the front end of a 10-foot jib, it goes up exponentially in the back. And I believe the ratio is roughly 7 or 8 to 1. Anyway, you can do the math. But enough of that. Let's go assemble this thing.